What's going on, guys? Tyler here. Welcome back to another Elementor video. And in today's video, we are talking about Elementor 3.2. This will also include the Elementor patch update for Elementor 3.2.1. Now, in this video, we're talking about three different features that Elementor has added to their latest update that are really helpful when it comes to designing our website. And of course, guys, if you are interested in upgrading to Elementor Pro, which has all of these awesome features as well as a slew of other features that we've talked about here on my channel, be sure and click on that link down below and see what kind of price you can get for Elementor Pro. I think you will be thoroughly surprised. It is very well priced when it comes to drag and drop page builders. It is a very competitive price, so check out that link and see what kind of price you can get for it. And of course, if you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it. And be sure and smash that nice red looking subscribe button, hit that bell icon, and be notified of upcoming videos just like this one. And with no further ado, guys, let's go ahead and jump into today's video. Now, for your convenience, I've gone ahead and actually broken up this video into separate chapters, and each different chapter will have a different feature that we're talking about. So if you want to skip to a specific feature, maybe you just want my take or my input on how this actual feature works, you can actually go ahead and just jump over to that timestamp. There are the timestamps right over there, as well as they'll be marked in YouTube chapter markers down below. Now, one thing you will need to do before actually jumping in and trying out these features is you will need to update your Elementor plugin as well as your Elementor Pro plugin. And to do that, all we're going to do is go ahead and jump over here to my computer, and then we will go ahead and go to our plugins over here and go down to installed plugins, and we can click up here where it says updates available. If you click on this little button here, you should have Elementor that's out of date as well as Elementor Pro. So we'll go ahead and update both of those plugins. And of course, guys, the updates that are coming in these plugins are the following. We have everything that is in the 3.2.1 patch right here. This was released on March 21st, as well as the big 3.2 update, and this was released on March 16th. So I'm just going to leave this here on the video so you can actually pause the video right here and take a look and read all of the different changes that were taking place in this update, or you can head over to Elementor's website, elementor.com/pro/changelog. Now, for those that actually want to see these features in action, we're going to be talking about these three features specifically in this video. The first is the added stay in column option to intersection element. And the second is the experiment that they're working on, kind of like testing out. And this is submissions. Save all of your form submissions in one place. And then the last feature is the PayPal button widget. This is really cool. It says collect PayPal payments directly from your site. So let's go ahead and jump over to my website and talk about these features. All right, guys, and welcome to the first feature, the stay in column intersections feature. Now, I've gone ahead and actually designed some example content here on my site of when you actually might use this effect. Many of us are aware of the sticky feature when we actually stick an element to the screen, and when we scroll, it moves with the screen. But if you're not familiar with it, we'll briefly show you how that works here, and then we'll show you why this new option is very helpful. Now, like we've said, this involves the sticky feature, and what we want to do here is essentially make this button sticky. And if you've never made any element a sticky element on Elementor before, don't worry, it's very easy to do. All we're going to do is go ahead and hit edit on this button, and we're going to go over to advanced. We'll go down to motion effects, and then right here we have sticky. Now, we have three options here. We either have none, which turns the sticky feature off, or we can stick it to either the top of the page or the bottom of the page. So I'm going to go ahead and select top, and then as you can see, your offset will probably be set to 0. I've already tested this feature out, so I found that a good offset for me was 80. Basically what that's doing is telling it from the very top of the page, pull down about 80 pixels and then stick it. So then when you're scrolling, the button is kind of like off of the top about 80 pixels there. So what we're going to do is go ahead and start scrolling, and when we scroll, you can see that this button is now sticky on the page and scrolls with us. So as we keep scrolling down, it continues to scroll down and continues on and on and on, all the way down to the bottom of the page, right? So what this feature is, this new option that they've added, is right here where it says stay in column. And this is actually a very helpful feature, and you'll see why, because we're going to go ahead and turn it on right here. Now we're gonna scroll down and you can see the same exact thing is happening, but watch when we get to the end of this column here. As soon as we get to the end, it stops moving and lets the page continue on without it. Now let me show you exactly how I actually did this, because you can make elements anywhere on Elementor pretty much sticky, but what you need to do is use an intersection. If you guys don't know a lot about the intersections element, I highly recommend you click on that card and take a look at my intersections video. It is one of my most viewed YouTube videos and one of the videos I've got the best feedback on, because a lot of people don't know about intersections, and it really will help you become a better designer and developer with Elementor. But for now, we're back here on the page, and let me just show you briefly, without explaining what intersections really are. What we're gonna do is actually go here and we're gonna go back into our elements pane here. Let's go ahead and search for intersection. We'll drag that in right here. And then you have basically two columns here. Again, you can always right click and add new columns if you need to, or delete other columns if you don't need them. But what we're gonna do, basically what I did is go ahead and adjust the size right here. I added a text editor here on the right and then added my button here on the left. And from there, you just follow the steps that I just showed you. You click on edit this button, advanced motion effects, and then turn on sticky and stay in column. And it's just that simple, and you have this really cool sliding sticky effect that will stick in its column. And that brings us to our second feature, which is submissions. Now I'm super excited about this feature because previously, when I was very bootstrapped and just starting out my business, I knew the importance of collecting email addresses, but I didn't even have an email service provider to send out emails or anything like that. And I didn't have the cash or the money to pay for an email service provider right off the bat, but I knew deep down it was important to collect email addresses from my visitors. So with that knowledge, but not really having an email service provider set up, what I did was I found a third-party plugin that actually collected form submissions and just held them in a small little database in WordPress. It didn't work great and it had a few bugs, so it wasn't like the ideal situation, but Elementor just revolutionized that and they have a great option for you. So as we talk about this feature, maybe consider implementing it into your website, even if you've never collected email addresses in the past because you don't have any contacts or had nowhere to store them, or you're not paying for an email service provider, or you've never written a newsletter in your life. Any of those excuses can kind of be set aside with this feature. You're not going to need an email service provider. You're not going to be actively sending any emails, but you will be building out your email list, which from a marketing standpoint is the best option if you're getting visitors to your website and you want to retain contact with them. All right, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump back into my computer and talk about this feature. Now right here, we actually have this form. I've gone ahead and just dragged in a form. It's very basic. It doesn't have any really unique information that it's collecting, but this submissions feature will work for any data that you're collecting from a form. But like I said, personally, I in the past have used third-party plugins to do this, but what I was collecting is email addresses. And email addresses are very important because you're building your email list. So right here under form name, we need to go ahead and name this form. And this will actually be important in just a second, and you'll see where that information comes up. But let's just name it email opt-in. Perfect. Now next we can go ahead and design the form however we want. I do have videos on how to design a form, even a multi-step form. So click on that card up top if you need help designing a form. But for this sake, we're just going to talk about this new feature that they've added. Right down here under actions after submit, we can go ahead and click on that and you'll see we have some new options right here. This first one that is selected is called collect submissions. Normally what these actions are is once people fill out a form, they click the button and something is going to happen with their data. Normally what I do is I go ahead and I send it over to get response. When it goes over to get response, it adds them to my email list and sets them up on an auto drip campaign. There's webhooks, there's drips, there's a whole bunch of email service providers, there's even Discords or pop-ups or Slack. there's a whole bunch of actions that you can do, but let's go ahead and talk about collect submissions. So when you leave that as the action, and again, you can add multiple actions. So if you want to send it over to get response and also collect submissions, you can do that. You just need to add 2 actions here. But when you collect submissions, we're going to go ahead and update this, and I'll show you what happens when someone fills out this form. All right, so they're going to go ahead and fill out this form, and when they hit send right here, it's going to go ahead and collect that submission. Now we're here in the back end of my WordPress dashboard, and if we go over here to the left to Elementor and go to submissions, we can go ahead and refresh the page because we've now collected a submission, and boom, just like that, we now have this submission collected. Now there's a little bit of information that we can actually see right off the bat when we're looking at this list of submissions that we've collected. We have the email address right here. We have the action status, if anything was like to happen, if it was sent over to get response and maybe it succeeded in going to get response, or maybe it failed in going to get response, you can see that right here. We have the form right here. There is the name of our form, which we've declared earlier, email opt-in. We have the page that it was actually collected from, the data was collected from, and we have the date and time that it was actually collected. Now we also have the ability to kind of filter up by here. We can set all pages, we can select which page we want, we can select certain forms or different times. We can also go over here and hit view, and you can see all of the information from that submission. Now something kind of cool is you can actually see the user agent of which your visitor submitted their form from. So right over here you can see I have Macintosh right here. You can see this is my Mac OS version, so this is the operating system I'm running on. And you can also see we have Apple WebKit. I was using Chrome right here. This is the actual version of Chrome that I use to access the website and submit my form. And again, I've got version of Safari and Mozilla right there. You also have an IP address, and you can access the form or the page right from these links here. So that's the second feature, and that is submissions in a nutshell. It really is a cool feature, and like I said, consider adding it to your website and collecting email addresses today. Now let's talk about the third feature, and something I'm actually really excited about, and I've looked many times for plugins like this, and there were a handful, but nothing quite this good. And that is the PayPal buy button. I'm actually super excited about this. This is probably one of the easiest ways to collect payments on your website. Now let's go ahead and actually jump into my computer and take a look at this feature. This is the PayPal buy button right here. I have it saying buy now there. It is very easy to customize and to stylize however you want it. I have the little PayPal logo right there, so people know they're going to be redirected to PayPal to go through a simple transaction process. But let's go ahead and just talk about some of the settings of this button. Okay, now let's actually show you just how easy it is to drag and drop in a PayPal button. If we search for it here in the widgets, we can drag in a PayPal button, and boom, just like that, we've got a PayPal buy now button created. So let's go ahead and go over some of the settings here. And the first setting is probably the most important and crucial setting. This is the actual email address that your PayPal account is linked to. So when people send you money to your email address, it's going to be your PayPal account email address right there. Now the transaction type is very straightforward. We either have a checkout, which is a one-time purchase, we have a donation, which is some form of donation, or we have a subscription, which is some form of reoccurring purchase over and over. Now right over here, we'll go ahead and just put in an item name of the item that they're purchasing, and then you have the option to put in a SKU. I just put in this SKU as an abbreviation for this example product right here. This is actually a real ebook, and if you would like to get it for free, you just have to join my newsletter list. So you can do that down below in the description in that link, and yeah, you'll get this free 7 trending Elementor designs for 2021 ebook. It's got some great stuff in there, so click on that link and join below. But then you'll just basically set a price right over here. I have $29.90 right there. Set your currency, your quantity, and your shipping price. And then tax is a percentage. So you can set a percentage right there, or you can just select none. And then of course you've got the option to actually add an icon here. If you want to adjust it and not make it the actual PayPal icon, you can do that. You can go ahead and stylize anything else that you want. And additional options here, we have the option to test in sandbox mode. That's how PayPal actually lets you test. And then over here, we also have the option to open PayPal in a new tab, or you can actually just stay in your current tab. And of course, we have custom messages. This will basically just say there was an error in actually processing the transaction or actually completing the transaction, or PayPal is not set up and not connected to this account. You can set up those custom messages right there. But from there, guys, it's just like any other button. You can go ahead and set up all of your style options right over here and actually get this thing ready to rock. Anyway, guys, that's about it for all of these features. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I think there's some great features that you should definitely get implemented into your website today. And again, some of these features are for Elementor Pro only, so be sure and check out that link down below in the description. See what kind of price you can get for Elementor Pro. It really is a phenomenal plugin with a very, very low price tag, so I highly recommend it to all my friends. So check out that link down below. And of course, guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. If you're new to the channel, be sure and smash that nice red looking subscribe button. Join the family, be notified of upcoming videos just like this one. And that's all for today, guys. Thank you so much and take care.